But one thing you can count on when it comes to the Tennessee legislature is there will be lots of crazy and not so crazy. I want to talk about the crazy first, because the development this week that got a lot of attention is the newly elected Representative Justin Pearson from Memphis, who's been an activist in this community as well when it comes to environmental issues. Well, just a few days ago, he wore a dashiki on the House floor. And that was criticized by a Republican from East Tennessee. Name is David Hawk. He invoked the name of Lois DeBerry, who Memphians will know as well, who was a well-known elected official representing Memphis for decades. He said Lois DeBerry would remind us how we must have respect for this legislative body, and part of that respect is how you look and how you appear. And he said this on the floor of the House in front of all of their colleagues. Representative Pearson was there too, and he saw the tweet that he posted after that and said, yeah, thanks to my African ancestors for giving me the opportunity to wear this. But apparently Lois DeBerry back in the day pulled David Hawk aside and said, you need to wear a tie. He wasn't wearing a tie on the House floor, and said, we have a certain decorum here and you need to meet that. And so he was bringing that up. But I don't know, I just want to get your response to
What is your response to that, Ken?
Well, that's like saying, you know, you guys need to stop wearing toupees on the House floor. Now, this is not...
Well, then everybody would be bald.
Well, there's my point. Exactly, man. I am very proud of Justin Pearson for wearing dashiki. I wouldn't wear one on the House floor, but who cares what I would wear? I think he represents a very, very unique, fresh breath of air in politics, and his constituency proves that. If young people are drawn to him and he wants to wear a dashiki, fine. But let me say that this young man, Hawk, obviously has history with Lois DeBerry, and that particular incident of her telling him he needs to look a certain way, well, I'm not mad at him for bringing that up at this point.
Well, I mean, I think the whole thing is a tempest in a teapot. I agree with Ken. Justin Pearson represents the new generation of political leadership.
And you know, when he walked in there,
he probably should have known that that was going to happen.
He probably knew it would have caused some reaction.
Oh,
yeah,
sure.
But we're talking about this new generation. He's 28 years old, and I got a 28-year-old daughter. And they don't follow the rules and expectations of the baby boom generation. They just don't. And so while that probably wouldn't have been the first fight that I would have picked if it had been me, I thought that the dashiki was actually pretty stylish. And so, okay, let's...
Well, it's black and white, which is the formal colors.
Exactly.
Right.
And if you don't like it, take it to the side and talk about it privately, but don't get on the House floor and basically shame the guy and try to make a political point that way. I just think it was just much ado about nothing, honestly.
Well, you're right about that generation. I have a 27-year-old daughter, and you're right, they don't give a fill in the blank.
Right.
But they're also very headstrong and, you know, determined. So
they really are.
To their credit. All right, so there were some more serious bills that are being debated and are making a lot of progress in the legislature. One that interests a lot of Memphians might be the one concerning how many signatures are required on a recall petition in order to oust an elected politician. And this is namely being sponsored by Representative Bill White, Mark White, because of Wanda Halbert, the Shelby County clerk, who's by any measure has been more or less a disaster. So I understand the sentiment.
Yeah.
I bought a car at the end of December, and I'm still waiting for my tax.
Oh, wow.
But nonetheless, what are your thoughts about this as the time or place to lower the number of signatures from 15% of registered voters to 1%?
To 1%. I think that's too low, because we could wind up like what's going on in California, where they're having recalls all the time. I think a more reasonable number would have been at least 5%. Have to have 5% of all registered voters in order to do a recall. But again, all of this is dictated by whether the county commission issues a vote of no confidence. So I don't think this really means a whole lot. But I'm still just leery of any piece of legislation that's only targeted at one person or one community or one city. I frown on that kind of thing, and so Mark White needs to be careful what he's asking for, because it could come back to haunt some Republicans.
The slippery slope, and I got less than a minute, so.
I think it's petty. I think it's completely petty, a waste of time, and Mark wouldn't appreciate it if somebody came up with a bill to address his time in office. And finally, Wanda Halbert was elected overwhelmingly.
Yeah.
And the only people who have a right to chastise or correct her are the people who voted for her. As I said to you earlier, if somebody in a high-profile position who supports her pulls her to the side and say, Wanda, you got to do better. What can we do to help you do better? Then that's one thing. But wasting time to direct a bill at one person is petty.
Yeah.
And we were 9 months into the controversy at the clerk's office when the election happened this last August, and people still voted for her. So there you go. All right, that's all we have time for this week. We appreciate both of you gentlemen for being with us this week, and you at home as well. We'll see you next week for ABC24 This Week.